Welcome to BB's African News Magazine show on Jambo Radio, the show that focuses on all things positive come from the Scottish African diaspora, the African continent, and anywhere you find black people, basically. We'll be reporting from here on all things COVID-related and Africa-related during the current COVID-19 crisis. I'm Benny Briggs-McKinley, BB, and as always, I will be your host. Today, I have a young person in the studio. Her name is Hawalaka. She is a straight A student. She's a model child, a model teenager, and everything in between. And she's going to be hanging with us, right? And sharing her opinions with us on all the stories we're going to do today. And it's just great having somebody young in the studio. How are you? How are you? Doing good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, great. You excited to be here?
Yes.
Can't wait to hear all your opinions on things. Right, so guys, you know what to do. Hawaii's in the hot seat today. She'll be sharing her thoughts with us. Serena is here with us. She'll be sharing her thoughts as well. And we're just going to have a great time. All the news and all the African stories. So stay with us and just enjoy with us. As always, please remember you can join us at any time on the show. Add your voice. We're live right now, so you want to call the studio directly. The number is 07542-002891. That's 07542-002891. If you're shy and you don't want your voice to be live, you can just write a comment on the Facebook page and we'll pick it up and we'll read out your comments. So find us on social media anywhere you have social media. Just combine Radio Scotland and Jambo, and you'll find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and anywhere else you consume social media. If you don't have the Jambo Radio app, please download it right now at the Play Store or from the Apple Store. And if you have a smart speaker, just say Siri or Google Assistant or Alexa, play me Jambo Radio, and off you go. So to start us off today, let's relax a little bit before we start all the heavy topics, and let's have a song. It's going to be Hawa's choice. Is it your choice or Serena's choice to start us off with? So Serena, go for it, whatever you on your mind. Back. Okay, and we still have Hawa right here. Hawa, tell us a bit about yourself before we start. So go ahead.
I'm 16, going to turn 17 next month, and I'm in 5th year. I'm doing my prelims at the moment.
And what are you going to study when you go to university?
Medicine.
No. So you're going to be a doctor? What kind of doctor?
OB/GYN.
Oh, very good. You like children? Or you just like that area of medicine? Very good. So what else do you have planned for yourself? How many years is it to study medicine? 5. And then you're going to specialize later on? That's another, 2 years? So you have the next, 8 years planned out? That's okay. So are you excited to be here?
Yes.
Okay. So can't wait to hear your voice on this. So let's start with we're going to South Africa. So groups representing the descendants of South Africa's earliest inhabitants, the Khoi and the San, went to court on Wednesday to try to halt construction of Amazon's new 70,000 square meter Africa headquarters on land they regard as sacred. The culturally intertwined San and Khoi were the first inhabitants of South Africa. The former lived as hunter-gatherers for tens of thousands of years, and the latter joined them as pastoralists more than 2,000 years ago. Some Khoi and San welcomed the prospect of jobs from the 4 billion rand development, that's about $259 million, near Cape Town. It's going to include a hotel, retail offices, and homes, and with Amazon, which employs tens of thousands of people in the data hubs in the city, as its main tenant. But the project has faced a backlash from Khoi and San community leaders who say they represent the majority of their people. The site lies at the confluence of 2 rivers, the Black River and the Leesbeek, of paramount spiritual significance to both groups. It will block their view to the equally sacred Lion's Head Mountain, said a Khoi traditional group representative. It's deeply disturbing, he said. There's nothing sacred left in this world for indigenous communities. Yet, with a third of South Africans unemployed, authorities are keen to consider and encourage foreign investment. An Amazon spokesperson declined to say anything. Amazon is not saying anything about this. So James Tannenberger, spokesperson for the developer Leesbeek Leisure Properties, said last week that the majority of South Africans people supported the development. The redevelopment will bring enormous benefits to the people of Cape Town, he said. It's unfortunate that a small number of individuals are hell-bent on blocking it. The Khoi and the San people were displaced from much of South Africa, first by black settlers from Central Africa, then much later by white colonial invaders from Europe, whom they fought to defend their remaining enclaves. In one such battle on the Cape half a millennium ago, that's 500 years ago, the Khoi and the San defeated a Portuguese raiding expedition on the spot currently held on the dispute, and the site remains a symbol of resistance. For us, this is a ground zero precinct, the epicenter of resistance colonialism. So, what do you guys think? One hand is sacred land. Okay, it's sacred land. It's important to them. They're the first people of South Africa, like over 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. They were the first people on that land. So they consider that land sacred. On the other hand, if Amazon built a headquarters, it's going to bring jobs. It's going to bring, change the life. It's going to pump money into the economy and to the people, help the country and all of that. So what do you think? Do you think it's a good idea?
Is there other land available?
That's a good idea. Nobody ever said, is there no other land available? Like, why this land? But I think where it is, I don't know about that. The real question, I don't know the answer to that. So what you're suggesting is what?
They should move it to other land. Like, the headquarters is a good idea because it'll bring jobs to people. But then they also have a good point if it's sacred land and you don't want to disrupt that for them.
Yeah, because even if you bring jobs, in my opinion, even if you bring jobs, lots of jobs and change the lifestyle, then what are you going to tell your children? So you have a good job, you have a nice house, you have stuff, and then what do you tell your children about your place? Where do you take them to show them you just have a good job and a good lifestyle, but nothing, this, because when you have those things, then you can now start looking to your culture and saying, these are my kids, showing them, showing the next generation, keeping things for the next generation, which is what they do here. We have here in the UK, we have what they call the green belt, where, you can't touch it. There are parklands and lots of acres, thousands of acres of land. You could build houses and developments and all of that, but it's forbidden. You can't touch it. You can't build on it. You can. There are laws to say at least a certain percentage of land must be green, must be parks, forests. They can't be touched. So we should do the same thing with our land. We should all do it. Serena, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I think we really do need to think about preservation over whatever sort of like economical development that you're thinking of doing. Exactly. Especially when it's coming from countries abroad.
Yes.
And it's not self-living.
Yes.
Because obviously that benefit is not going just
directly to the people.
Directly to the people. It's gonna somewhat go outside of the country.
Absolutely.
So, we need to think about preservation as well.
Yeah, I think so. But what do you think about the idea that they said only a few, they're making it seem like only like a small number of the indigenous people are complaining, most indigenous people are okay with it and all of that. They would say that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course.
They would say that, yeah. Anyway, it's going to court. I think next week we might have an update on what happened, but I think you're right. They should try and move it somewhere else. But they've earmarked it, planned it out, got developers, got, the land, people who do the land to make sure it's tenable and all of that. They made all the plans, they spent all that money. They're not going to want to do it all over again on another piece of land, but it's going to be political at this point. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Kenya. Serena, ears just perked up. Right, so Kenya's capital city, Nairobi, has been named as Africa's leading business travel destination, and that was during the 2021 Travel Awards. Ooh, look at that photo. Okay, Serena, I see you. The leading authority that recognizes and rewards excellence in travel and tourism. That is beautiful. Nairobi trounced cities like Lagos, Accra, Cairo, Cape Town, Durban, Johannesburg, and Pretoria to emerge as Africa's leading business travel destination. The latest awards make it the third time in a row that Nairobi has been named the continent's leading business travel destination. It's a lie. It's a scam. It's not true. There have been reports of harsh economic conditions in Kenya occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic, and several businesses have been forced to lay off workers in order to stay afloat. However, since the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions by President Kenyatta, business is slowly picking up in the East African country. Kenyatta International Convention Center won the award for Africa's leading meetings and conference center, while Kenya Tourist Board won the award for Africa's leading tourist board. Cape Town was named Africa's leading city destination, defeating Durban, Johannesburg, Kigali, Luxor, Marrakesh, Nairobi, and Sharm el Sheikh. Sharm el Sheikh, you've been to Egypt, Majida. You've been to North Africa.
No, actually haven't.
You've been to Dubai though. Okay. It's close. It's to the east. 4 Points by Sheraton was named Africa's leading airport hotel, while Fairmont Kenya Safari Club won Africa's leading hotel award. Also, Hemingway Watumu was named Kenya's leading beach resort. In the aviation sector, Kenya Airways is Africa's leading Kenya, everything. I'm tired of reading the story.
Listen, keep going.
I'm so jealous. Kenya Airways is Africa's leading airline 2021 and Africa's leading airline in the business class category. And Cape Town, on the other hand, was Africa's leading airport. These awards are held annually to celebrate excellence across the African continent. And the organizers said, our winners represent the very best of travel and hospitality in Africa and the Indian Ocean. And my congratulations to each of them. They're all playing starring roles and spearheading travel and tourism recovery. But yeah, are we jealous?
Yeah.
We're jealous, right? I mean, there's so many. Like, look at they beat out. Let me see. They beat out Luxor. That's in Egypt. Sharm el Sheikh is in Egypt. Johannesburg, Lagos, Pretoria, Kigali, Durban. So all these cities were beat out, and Nairobi emerged victorious. All right, congratulations, Kenya. We see you guys are making moves. You're making moves. It's okay. We're not jealous of anything. Do I sound jealous, Serena?
I don't know. Do you sound jealous, baby?
I don't know. I have feelings I can't identify. I'm proud of you guys because you're African, but at the same time, I'm like, what are we, chopped liver in the west of Africa? All right, have you ever been to Kenya?
No, I actually haven't.
Do you plan to go to Kenya? Say no, say no.
Really?
I'm not hating or anything.
Just a little bit.
Are you ever going to go to Kenya?
Hopefully.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country. I've never been. Have I been to Kenya? I don't know.
Do you want me to answer that for you? Have you ever been to Kenya?
There's something. Sometimes my father's stories and my stories intertwine. So my father's been to Kenya. So my dad tell all the stories, right? So when you finish imbibing all those things, in your mind you think you've been there. So I was like, have I been there? No, it was daddy that went. So my dad's been, and he loved it. He went to a place, a place called the Carnivore. And apparently, do you know it?
It's a restaurant in Nairobi,
and every wild animal. It's a barbecue.
They serve every wild animal that you could think.
He said there was a huge barbecue in the middle of it, a grill, and every zebra, giraffe, lion, normal cow. You can eat anything you want. Just go take a cut, take it to your table, go back. And he was like, okay, that's cool. So have you ever thought of eating anything that is not beef or chicken, or I know you don't eat pork, beef or chicken, or what are things? Anything exotic? Have you ever thought? No? Ostrich?
I mean, it'd be cool, a cool story to tell, but I'd be weirded out eating.
Yep. Yeah, I had crocodile once, and I tiniest piece, the tiniest piece. I couldn't eat it proper eat it. So have you ever eaten anything exotic?
Well, I've been to Carnivore.
You've been to Carnivore?
Yeah,
you know what you were eating?
Times. Yeah.
So what? Zebra?
We loved that as kids. No, I don't think they do zebras.
What do they do?
You can't.
Lion?
You can't eat zebras. They do crocodiles and snakes and. I can't remember. It's been time.
Oh wow!
It's been some time, but I've been a couple of times. Yeah.
They put sauce on it, or you just eat it as?
I mean, it's like barbecue. Last time I was there was 7 years ago.
Right.
But I remember we used to love it when we were kids.
Wow.
Because we just go there, and Mom would be like, "Oh yeah, this is that animal."
Oh
my God. Really, give it to me.
I have this really. I don't know if I can actually make the the connect. I've been to a party before with an exotic animal. And I actually held in my fork like that, and the last part, you cut it, it just wouldn't go in. I was like, yeah, this is not for me. Okay, all right. So let's have a song while we're mulling our exotic animal choices. Congratulations to Kenya. You guys are doing amazingly well. We're very proud of you. All over Africa, don't mind my hating. It's just natural. Nigerians, we think we're the best, and then every other African country goes, really, really, you're not. And so this is Final Say by Banky W. Enjoy. We'll be back with Hawalaka. Hello. We're back again. We have Serena in the house. We have Hawa in the house. We have BB in the house. We are ready to go. Let's do it. Ready? Right. So Netflix. What about Netflix? Well, Netflix wants to rapidly increase its offer of African content, some of which is met with great success outside of the continent. So Netflix is regarded as the world's leading premium media streaming platform, operating in nearly every country in the world, and it says it's working to support the industry by promoting new talent, quote unquote, and the training of highly qualified professionals to overcome the current limitations. Ben Amadasun, Nigerian, you see that, Serena, in charge of Africa original content and acquisitions for the American platform. Look at that job title. That's amazing. During a visit to Paris, said, we get to scale quite quickly in terms of the offering what we have in the market, but we're seeing that there's a limit to how many very high level producers there are in this market, like in the African content market. So we're working very actively to support the industries and the ecosystem with training schemes and other initiatives that we put in place in the last year and a half. We're looking at emerging talents in Africa and trying to see how we can develop them, because their stories can be quite impactful as well. But we have to make sure that we're able to bring some of their stories and those of other diverse voices represented in terms of our overall offering in the market. Spurred by a young population and an increase in internet connectivity, Africa's entertainment space, including video streaming services, is gaining a larger audience and receiving record amounts of funding. The number of subscription to video-on-demand users in Africa is projected to reach more than 5 million by the end of this year and triple to 15 million by 2026, according to a new projection by the Digital TV Research, a London-based business intelligence company. I've been in this industry for 20 years, and it's only now that we're seeing the real explosion, a real tipping point for African content, says Nigerian TV pioneer Mo Abudu. The reality of the marketplace has changed. Netflix, whose service accounts for more than half of the continent's streaming subscriptions, debuted its first African originals in 2020, last year, beginning with the South African spy thriller Quinsono and Cape Town teen drama Blood and Water. Netflix's first Nigerian commission, which premiered in August, was King of Boys, The Return of the King. Yes, I love that. A 7-part series sequel to Kemi Adetiba's hit 2018 gangster drama King of Boys, and featuring Nollywood star Shalasha Bawali as a ruthless mafioso-style businesswoman. There's been a tremendous change. Just 3 to 4 years ago, you'd have struggled to sell an African film to a big international platform, and financing was always difficult, says Kunle Afolayan, the director and producer of A Niger Christmas, whose recent dramas Citation and Swallow have also gone to Netflix. Usually, I would make 1 film in 2 years. Last year, I made 2 films in a single year. Netflix and the studios are pitching the African investment as an overdue corrective to how Hollywood has long portrayed the continent and its people. In the past, African stories have been told by outsiders, says Ben Amadison. Now we want to help local talent bring their stories to the world. There are also practical business reasons for the international push into Africa. Subscription numbers on Netflix in North America are stagnant, and growth in many territories, including Western Europe, is slowing. But Africa, particularly Sub-Saharan Africa, I hate that term, particularly Sub-Saharan Africa, is an untapped market, okay? The reason for this focus on Africa is simply because penetration is very, very low. In North America, they have about 50% of households who have a Netflix subscription, a figure that's pretty stable. In Western Europe, there's under a third. In South America, just under a quarter. In Africa, is less than 3%. So there's lots of room for growth. For now, the bulk of international investment in African content is going to 3 countries, Nigeria, South Africa, and Kenya, all of which have established film and TV industries and large English-speaking populations. So we haven't seen much investment here in Senegal or West Africa, says Pamela Diop, producer of Jean-Luc Belu's horror crime smash-up Saloon. But as markets develop, maybe that will come. Okay, opinions, guys. So do you think they're doing it for the love of African continent, from the goodness of their heart, or do you think they're doing it because it's time and they can see the potential?
Yeah, I think they want the profit.
Yep. They don't just do things because, oh, look, we haven't gone to Africa yet. We haven't told African stories. Let's go to Africa. No, that's not why, right?
Yeah, if they wanted to do that, they would have done that.
A long-term game. And I think because there's so much growth in America and it's kind of stabilized, everybody has Netflix more or less. So the growth, the potential, so Africa is untapped. There's and there's a young population. They're all using digital media, and people on ground are hungry for their own stories to be told. And when they released African stories internationally, it's had a big impact. You know, it had a big impact on, like, Quinsono or Blood and Water was watched by a lot of Americans. Blood and Water is a massive hit, and that's purely South African. So, you know, so they can see the potential there. But that's a good thing because it means local producers who are going to be trained up, you know, and the stories are going to be told, like, it's going to be more professional and everything. So it's, in 10, 15 years, it could be like a massive, you know, have a huge impact. So, what do you think? You think they're fucking about the one?
No, I don't know. I feel like I'll give my honest opinion.
Okay, honest opinion.
Right.
Yes.
my honest opinion is, I think after 2 years ago, and you know, the
Black Lives Matter,
BLM and everything, I always think we need to like stop and think a little bit about when, you know, these big companies now are like waking up, going like, let me go to Africa and make money there, you know, because I feel like they're also trying to respond to that in a way.
Yeah. But at the same time, if they see potential to make money, they're not going to pass it over, right? So they've ignored it for a long time,
of course,
which was to their own detriment, because even when they were ignoring it, we were still making our films. Like Nollywood blew up when there was no Netflix. Nollywood blew up. Everybody on the continent was watching Nollywood. So if they're just waking up now, they're late. Okay, they're late. But you know, if they're offering money, I'm taking it to make my film. Like if I want to make a film and I'm going to make it a small budget film, and Netflix comes in here's 100 million, go make a film. As a producer, as a director, I'm like, cheers. You know, thank you, I'll take it.
One thing that I don't want it to become is that, now Netflix is coming, so this means that we will, you know, get the fame and we will be good at what we're doing. It's not a case of like we need Netflix to be able to.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's just Netflix is a platform,
and they can spread it wider. Like one thing I noticed when I was doing the research for the story, I thought was interesting is, so they have stories that are going to be made to be shown in the international market, you know, because you're trying to say, okay, look at, but they also have stories which are local, so they're local for local consumption. So if the international market happens to see it and like it, or somebody's browsing Netflix and they catch it, that's different. But it's actually going to be marketed and geared towards the local population, like in like Netflix in South America. They have a lot of Spanish speaking and, you know, drama and movies that are for, you know, they're actually watched primarily by people from South America, and of course everybody else. So the African stories are going to be like that as well. I think it's going to be made for the local market, but on Netflix. So I think it's a good thing. And also the reach of Netflix, you can't fight with that. So if your stories can go further, why not? I would love to see more African. I'm really it's always so embarrassing because like you get the 10 let's say the 10 Nigerian movies, right? And I don't know which one is the good one. There's only going to be one good one. And I get my Scottish in-laws, I'm like, let's watch this new Nigerian film. You guys don't know anything. Nigerian films, and then we all gather, and then we start where they're like, oh no, not again. Oh no, this is trash. They fooled me again, you know. It's once in a while like we sit down and like, yes, pride, yes, you know, our films. But generally like Namaste Wahala. That was did you watch that?
Yes.
Garbage. God, please forgive me.
And you know, the funny thing with Netflix is it tailors what you find.
Yes.
So
after that,
for example, when I open my Netflix page, you know, you will find those things, Namaste Wahala, on front page, and all of those ones, you know, and I need to scroll all the way, you know, to find something else. And then you open my flatmate's Netflix page,
and something really
completely different. And I'm like, why can't I ever find one?
Take
all I have here is Namaste Wahala. So maybe this whole Netflix and Africa deal will solve that problem.
I remember when I saw the trailer was amazing. The trailer was incredible. Oh my God, an Indian guy, Nigerian girl, he lives in Nigeria, or he lives in Nigeria, and then they met on the beach, and I was like, oh my God, I can't wait. Got my father-in-law, got everybody, let's watch this film. Like 10 minutes in, I was like, oh no, it's no good. This no good. It was not good at all.
But also the title,
Namaste Wahala.
No, but you can tell how good it's gonna be like.
You know, romantic comedies with quirky names. They're romantic comedies.
Yeah, no, I don't trust any of them.
Wow, it was not good. And then it was when they started dancing. I was like, yeah, okay, that came out of nowhere. Did you see the film? Please save yourself. We did it for you, so you don't have to. So we went ahead, so you don't have to go. Woo! Okay. Anyway, so that's good. No, I'm happy. Congratulations to Netflix if they succeed, and congratulations mostly to all the young producers and writers and directors who are now going to get the funding they desperately need, because they've been working. It's like working one hand tied behind your back, and you're still painting an amazing picture. But if you had like all your stuff, you will make a masterpiece. So we've been working really hard and doing really, really well without, you know, all the outside help. And we've done a lot. We've built the industry. But imagine what we could do now if you get proper training, funding, and all that. Fantastic. All right, let's play Arojinle by Adeyinka Alaishori. All right, here we go. You ready? You have something to say? Okay. So we are going to Sierra Leone and Liberia for the next story. This one is going to be interesting, guys. I need to hear what you think about this one. So, a 29-year-old Sierra Leonean man has been arrested and charged with attempting to sell his 10-year-old son. Mohamed Jallo Masakwai reportedly told investigators that he came to Liberia along with his son to sell him so he could buy a motorbike. He could pay for a motorbike belonging to a friend that had gotten stolen from him. He said that when he told his friends back in Sierra Leone that he needed $1,000 to pay for the bike, they advised him to go to Liberia as there were people looking for human beings to buy. Masakwai said he arrived in Liberia with his son in December, right after he went to see a relative in Cottontree, Margibi County, where he met a man known as Momo Kamara, who said he will help him find a buyer for his son. Kamara, however, advised him not to refer to the boy as a human, but rather as a chicken to avoid being noticed. When asked as to what the cost of a child by Kamara, he said he was not familiar with the Liberian dollars to United States dollars exchange rate, and therefore he could not price the boy. Masakwai asked Kamara to spearhead the negotiation that would be profitable to both of them. They were arrested by Liberian police last week while they were drinking at a spot in Cottontree, reportedly waiting for the buyer. Masakwai's son is currently in the care of the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. And despite all the tough laws in place, human trafficking has remained one of the most lucrative businesses worldwide, with statistics showing that millions of children are trafficked every year. Right, so this is a positive show, and I like doing positive news. However, I wanted to do the story because they did arrest him, and the boy is under government protection now at the Children's Gender, Children and Social Protection Ministry. So it's a good outcome. But I also wanted to put it out there to show these things are happening, and authorities are working to prevent it, but it's still happening. So I don't know what to say. What do you guys think? This is something that is really tricky for me to give an opinion on. What do you think? As a young person, what do you think?
Every time stories like these come out, I don't think they happen in real life. It's
right.
It's shocking that
Yes.
people, if you didn't want the son, orphanages exist. There are other ways to get money. Why would you sell your son? What's the thought process that goes, your child?
You wanted to buy a motorbike.
And he could get the money another way.
My question is, so you sell your son, you buy your motorbike, you continue your life, you do well, you make money, and you spend it on your son. But your son is not there anymore. Do you get? So people who mess with their children, who sell it or do, you're doing things to get money, but who are you going to spend the money on? Is it not the people you harmed? So I don't know. Serena, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with how when you hear the stories, it kind of it sounds as if it's surreal, just because it's one of those things that you would
not in your daily life.
You would not imagine that thought process. You would not imagine getting to that point, right? You're actually, this is a human being that we sell them just because. I mean,
if it was somebody else's human being, is different. Because you're human. He was born. You watched him. You cared for him. Where's the disconnect? Is a mental disconnect? Is this something wrong that you can see your child and sell?
Well, obviously there is something wrong.
Obviously,
it's not
breaks you or something.
It's not any random person walking across the street that will sell their children. Obviously, there is something.
But why don't you do
wrong?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Why don't you put them to work, okay? If it's that bad, so you can send it to be a domestic staff. No, people do that. They send their kids.
I know, it's just funny the way you put it. Instead of child trafficking, let's do child labor.
Listen. You have to choose between the two, right? So if I send my child to work in Lagos, for example, as someone's houseboy or something, at least it's still my child making. I'm going to make some money. Okay, but I still have my child and I still know where he is or whatever. Rather than selling the child, what are you selling to a psycho or something? What if the person is selling for human parts or?
But obviously, you're not thinking about that. Right. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, your head is not going there. You're not in the headspace to think, yes, let me protect this human being that's in my care, because otherwise you wouldn't even go to the extent of thinking. Just thinking,
but
not even
you take the boy. So you took the boy. You got on the transport bus from Liberia to Sierra Leone. You didn't change your mind. What were you thinking? He was beside you. You guys were on the bus together. You got there. You arrived. You held him off the bus. All that time, you didn't change your mind. You didn't change it. You didn't say, "What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?" So once you made a decision, that was it. He had made his decision to sell his child. That's crazy. Okay, let's clean that up. Let's clean all that horrible feeling up. And we are going to Comoros Islands, the beautiful Comoros Islands. And we have a picture of them. So, you guys heard about what happened over last year. Are you following AFCON? You know AFCON? The African Cup of Nations, the football that's going on. So, Ghana was like the favorite to win, and all that. And Comoros kind of like beat them out. Now, Ghana is gone. So, Comoros defeated them. And everybody's like, what? Who's Comoros? Who are Comoros anyway? You look at their tiny, tiny island. This is their first time in the African Cup of Nations. And Ghana is gone. Okay, so how do they do that? And the Ghanaians are like beside them. The Nigerians are having a laugh, like a proper laugh over this, because we have that banter with Ghana. Anyway, so I thought, since everybody's talking about Comoros at this time, why don't we find out a bit more about them? Anybody want to find out about Comoros? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, let's go. So, the Comoros Islands are an ecological paradise and an amazing vacation destination. These islands are enchantingly scattered across the Indian Ocean, making them the perfect vacation getaway spot. Located in the Mozambique Channel to the northwest of Madagascar, the Comoros Islands are well known for producing vanilla, cloves, and ylang-ylang. So, because of this major crop exports, the islands are fondly referred to as the perfumed islands. Comoros is made up of 4 islands: Anjouan, La Grande Comore, Moheli, and Mayotte. Mayotte is the only island among the clusters that still resonates a strong French influence, as it is still under French control. History says that the Comoros have been inhabited by people of Malayo-Polynesian descent since the 5th or 6th century, or even earlier. Others came from nearby Madagascar. French and Arabic influences are woven into the cultural fabric of the islands, most of which charming inhabitants are also descendants of Persian traders, Portuguese explorers, and African slaves. This makes the Comoros Islands truly multicultural and multilingual. The islands appeared on a European world map for the first time in 1527, when they're depicted by the Portuguese cartographer Diego Ribeiro. Historians believe that the first Europeans to visit the archipelago were Portuguese around the 16th century. Yet, until the 19th century, the dominant foreign influence in the islands remained Arabian. In 1843, France officially took possession of Mayotte and placed the other 3 islands under its protection in 1886. Comoros, which is administratively attached to Madagascar in 1912, became an overseas territory of France in 1947 and was given representation in the French National Assembly. But in 1961, a year after Madagascar gained its independence, the islands were granted internal autonomy. And while 3 of the islands voted for independence in 1974, most of the inhabitants of Mayotte preferred continuing French rule. On June 6, 1975, Comorian President Ahmed Abdallah was deposed and declared the whole archipelago independent, and Comoros was admitted into the United Nations, which recognized the integrity of the entire archipelago as one nation, despite the fact that France maintains control over Mayotte. Today, although the Comoros Islands are a modern-day paradise, there's a grave history of political turmoil and international tragedy. The island is somewhat called Cuckoo because of its rugged political history, which includes almost 20 coups d'etats since gaining independence from the French in 1975. Okay, the most common language spoken in the islands is known as Shikomoro, and it's a language broken up from Swahili, while the formal education is given in French. Comorian people call their country Masiwa, the islands, or refer to the individual name of each island according to the country profile. The profile states that Siziwa za Komoro is a translation of the French words for the country, Komoro, which comes from the African Khmer, the moon, or Kamar, whiteness, as seen depicted on its flag. The national emblem is the green flag with the crescent moon and 4 white stars, which symbolize the 4 islands, including Mayotte. The names of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad were added to the flag in 1996. Indeed, there's a heavy Islamic influence in Comoros, and therefore drinking in public and underdressing is strictly prohibited. Okay, the country has a population of just under 1 million, and it made its mark at the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon following its stunning win over Ghana, providing a first ever Nations Cup win for a country that only joined the world governing body in 2005. Okay, and finally, the national team of Comoros is nicknamed the Kolinkants, pronounced Silants, after an endangered species of exotic fish found in the region. How cool is that? So they have such a history, don't they? So it's 4 main islands. One is French, completely French. And in fact, what I heard and what I found out in doing this research is that a lot of people from the other islands go to Mayotte. So that if they give birth in Mayotte, then the child is French. Okay, so when you get pregnant in the other 3 islands, you make sure when it's time for you to give birth, you go to Mayotte and give birth. So a lot of the women, they just go there just to have their babies there because they're granted French citizenship, which is crazy because apparently the other 3 islands are going through all kind of turmoil. Mayotte's kind of the most stable one of all. But it's interesting to see. And I've always thought of them as in the Indian Ocean. Are they really African? But they are, and they have their own. They speak French, but they also have their own languages, and they have the Swahili. They have their own kind of version of Swahili. So it's really interesting. People go there on holiday and all of that. So they beat Ghana. What do you guys think? Are you guys going to go visit Comoros, Mayotte?
Yes, it seems very interesting.
It seems very interesting, doesn't it? Have you been to any island destination?
Nope.
Oh, you have a lot ahead of you, don't you? You have so much to look forward to. Yeah. Have I been to any island destination? I don't know. I don't remember anymore. Well, I'm from an island. I'm from Abunima, and that's an island. And we used to go to the beach there, so yeah. So that counts. So, Serena, have you been to Comoros?
Maybe don't talk to me about sand and sun.
I know.
Don't.
But this winter is very mild this year in Scotland.
Yes,
so
but
thank God for that. I know. It's time. It's time. Yes, it's time. But the thing is, they have like this. It's like a half and half. I guess with every island nation, there's this part that's shiny and beautiful and sands, and then there's other part there, there are problems and all of that. But then people come and see the beaches and all that, and don't deal with that other side. But I guess it's up to them to solve that part of the problem. Okay, moving on. Let's play one song, and then we're going to come back and do a couple more stories, and then part 1 will be over. You having a good time?
Yes.
Yes. So here is it Melo Melo by Olamide. Enjoy. We're back. We're going to do a quick honorable mention before we do our next story. I was going to do a full story, but I'm just going to do a quick one because the well-respected Kenyan conservationist Richard Leakey was paleoanthropologist and a conservationist, and he spearheaded campaigns against the ivory trade to say the dwindling African elephant population has died. And he was a great son of Kenya, and he was well respected. He even headed he even had his own political party at some point, and he had been appointed to many government positions. And he was also the head of the Kenyan Museum for many years, and he was the head of Kenyan Civil Service from July 1999 to March 2001, and he was very well respected. And he's died. That's it. So all that knowledge, all that legend has come to an end. He was only 77. So his parents were British, English, and they settled in Kenya. And he was born in Kenya, and he lived in Kenya. He was a white man, but he was a completely Kenyan man. Lived in Kenya his whole life, and yeah. He contributed a lot to. He's like basically the Kenyan, David Attenborough. The same kind of respect they give to David Attenborough here is the same kind they give Richard Leakey, not just in Kenya but all over the world. Very well known. May he rest in peace. His work has contributed a lot to the world, and yeah, that's it. Once you make your mark on the world, and you can go and your name lives forever because you've made your mark in one way or the other. That's all. That's all that you go. So we don't go and we're forgotten forever, like we never existed. We do it one way. Some people do it by having children. Some people do it who will live on their name. Some people do it by writing a book, a story, a documentary, a movie that will live forever. Some people do it by creating something. Some people do it by, conserving something. Whatever way you can do it, just make your mark. Do not come and go and leave nothing, like you never existed. No. Leave something. All right, so rest in peace, Richard Leakey. Serena, you have a story, Richard. You know who Richard Leakey was, of course.
Yeah, he's a family friend of ours.
Serena knows everyone. Everyone knows Arab Moy used to hang out in the house. The Kenyattas would come around for barbecue. We know all these people.
Okay. Not that far. No, but my
grandmother worked with him.
My grandmother was secretary.
Yeah, with him.
Richard Leakey. Wow. Yeah, so.
That's incredible. Serena knows people. I know Serena. She knows people. That means I know people too. You see?
Of course. That's how it works.
That's how it works. Exactly how it works. Okay, so did you know who Richard Leakey was? Okay, now you can go research him. You see, that's how it works. All right, let's move to Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, what's happening in Zim? Okay, so we're talking about an amazing teenager in Zimbabwe, and her name is Natsiraishe Maritsa. And she is a spunky Zimbabwean 17-year-old girl who has been a martial arts fan since she was 5. Today, she uses her passion for Taekwondo, which she instructs in her parents' front yard in Epworth near Harare, to rally young girls and mothers to join hands in the fight against child marriage in the country. What? She's 17. Wow. Now, although Taekwondo is not very popular in Zimbabwe, most people like soccer, there are still pockets of professional and backyard training schools. In spite of her limited resources, the dedicated teen is committed to her mission. By way of her association called Vulnerable Underage People's Auditorium, I love that, Vulnerable Underage People's Auditorium, she hopes to reinforce the confidence of both the married and single girls through the martial arts lessons. I do Taekwondo, and with it, I want to create an early marriage-free Epworth. I want to stop drug abuse because most of the teenagers are getting involved in drugs, and I want to occupy them with Taekwondo. Children as young as 4 and some of Nati's former schoolmates who are now married line up in the tiny yard to enthusiastically follow her instructions as the girls stretch, kick, strike, punch, and spar. After class, participants explore the dangers of child marriage in a meaningful group discussion. Nati shares her personal observations, situations in which she hopes her movement will make a difference in her community. She said, "Since I was in primary school, most of my friends have gotten impregnated and they got into marriages. Then when I went to high school, I realized some of them now have kids and they're facing problems. These early marriages have led to gender-based violence and they're still kids. They cannot look after a family, so they've been beaten and they're being abused. And this is really paining me," quote, end quote. Neither boys nor girls may legally marry until the age of 18, according to Zimbabwean law, but the practice remains widespread in the southern African nation, where an estimated 30% of girls are married before reaching the age of 18, according to UNICEF. Okay, so Nati Maritsa doing things. When I was doing the research, I was seeing all the photos. She has people line up around the block to come to her place. And apparently early marriage is such a big thing. Not all over Zimbabwe, let's be fair. When I do the stories, I like to make sure we say it's not the whole country or the whole region. It's probably just pockets. But it's so many. When they do pocket, when you put it all together, then it's a problem. So child marriage is a problem, in that part of Zimbabwe. And people are getting married in primary school and all of that, having kids early. It's crazy. And apparently the pandemic made it worse. Apparently in the pandemic, Sharon, we did a story a couple of weeks ago. Was it like 30% of girls came back to school pregnant during the pandemic or something like that? High school girls.
I can't remember, but we did a similar story. Because
of the pandemic, so they're just bored or what? There's no school to go to, no structure. I think that's just terrible. Anyway, so what she's doing is she's teaching Taekwondo to them, and then after the classes, they're having like discussions, talk about social problems and the dangers of early marriage. I think she's incredible. What do you think?
I think so too.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Jenna, can we see that picture again, please?
Yeah.
Wow, I think it's really, really cool. And look at them. Just look at them. I said kids as young as 4, and some of the people who come to our classes are married. Some of them are married already, but they're like, you know what, I'm still a kid. I might be married and have a child, but I'm still a kid. I want to do Taekwondo as well, and that's amazing. I hope she gets a lot of funding, not too much because that always makes things terrible. Just enough funding to make it worthwhile. Yeah, when you throw too much money at something like this, it starts corrupting things because people get involved. But I think what she's doing is amazing. Yeah, I'm really happy that she's doing that.
It's like what you said about leaving a mark. She's leaving her mark with these people.
Yeah, and she's just 17, so she has a long way to make many marks. Like you, when I come to you for free in the future when you're my OBGYN. I'm not paying, no. I'm just telling you in advance. I'm not paying. If you want, if that, house doctor, like, we're at a party, be like, Mijita, please look at my neck. What do you think? Mijita, please, I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait. Free medical advice. All right. So, what do you think? Do you think it's going to make a difference, or do you think it's just like a neighborhood group? It's not really going to change social problems.
No, every little helps. Even just having those conversations is such a big step because the beginning of that issue is because there's no conversation happening, especially with child marriage, especially with teenage or child pregnancies, is because the girls or whoever is the carer is not aware and is not
how do you change the mindset? Like, if someone can agree for their child to be married at 12, 13, it's not in the head. It's not a mental thing. But how do you change that?
You know, I also think there's a level of ignorance. This is how, not just ignorance, but this is how I lived. This is the way it is. I don't see any difference. Like, there's some places, you know, around the world where people live in a way that you would think, how could you possibly do that or think that's normal? But that's their normality. They do not know anything else. So there's also that, you know.
But it's always that different person. Like, you know, like people come from a certain culture and they've always done things, but they're always like 2 or 3 people in the village who like are different. Always. There's always that. I wonder where they get their own like bucking of tradition from, but that's another discussion completely. What do you think? You have something to say?
I think because of these conversations happening over time, like the children are going to change their mindsets about it, so their children aren't going to have to go through it.
Do you stand up to the parents though? Because if the fathers or the mothers who are saying you must get married, do you stand up? You know, kids, can a child stand up? You know,
if they're having these conversations, then maybe the parents will like understand. Like, not all parents are going to understand, obviously, and we're taught to obey our parents and everything. But over time, I think
there'll
it
be a
will
difference.
change.
All right, good luck, Natty. I really wish you the best out there in Zimbabwe. Taekwondo, I didn't learn when I was a child, but you know, you're doing your thing. All right, it's end of part 1. We're going to play out with Tanda Indim by Amanda Black, and we'll see you back in part 2. Hawaii's not going anywhere. We'll see you on the other side. See you guys in part 2. Bye.